And you can see why. You're 18 years old. You have this lump sum of money that's been given to you. And we've seen what full-grown men and women do with it. You know, the stats show that 70% of lottery winners or people who fall into a really large lump sum, like, have a parent that dies and leaves them a lot of money, right? Okay. 70% of those people within 3 to 5 years are broke. They've blown through the whole thing.
Welcome to 99 Miles Per Hour. With me, your host, Percy Garner. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Your Pizza. Now, this is a local pizza shop in New Philly. They're at 152 Front Avenue in New Philadelphia. You can find their pizza online at yourpizzashop.com. Or if you can call right now to order for delivery, it's 330-339-48888. Now, you can also find subs, salads, of course, and boneless wings. Now, y'all know me. If y'all seen the show before, I don't be messing with the salads, but they got everything for everybody. Try some of this pizza. It's amazing.
Casa, make yourself at home, do your do. Welcome to my pad, this your lab, go create your move.
Welcome to 99 Miles Per Hour podcast with me, your host, Percy Garner. Thank everyone for tuning in. We have a special guest today that I've known for a while, and it's been a while since we've talked, so it's going to be some good catching up. Can't wait. But before we get to our guest, I just want to thank our sponsors for the day, Your Pizza and Peterman Plumbing. We appreciate everything you guys make possible for this podcast and everything we do moving forward. Now, today, we have someone who I played summer college ball with for the most famous team, Stark County Terriers. I don't know if they're still a team, but we have some great memories and some scary memories about some teammates we had that we'll touch on a little bit. But today we want to talk about, something that I might have been guilty of, but we might share my personal stuff. I don't know. But we're going to talk about athletes and some of the things they go through, being new draftees and stuff like that, and some mistakes they make. So I'm in store for, I'm ready. I'm excited. So let's get to it. The guest we have today is the son of the Voice of Indians. His name is Nick Hamilton. He is an investment advisor at JT Stratford. Thank you for coming on today, Nick.
Thanks for having me, Percy.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
Good. It's been a long time.
It has. What was that, 2009, 2010, maybe?
Yeah, I think that was summer 2009.
Yeah, and then, you spent some time with the Phillies too, though, right?
Yeah, so I got drafted not nearly as high as you did. I didn't have anybody call me up trying to manage my money once I got drafted in the 35th round, but I got drafted in 2012. I played at Kent State, so we're both matching guys.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I didn't get recruited by Kent State, but it's all good. We both part of the MAC though, but I don't hold much of a grudge.
You did not get recruited by Kent State. That's what I want to know.
I know. That's my problem. That's why, I hold a grudge a little bit to Ohio State and Kent State, but that's well documented on this podcast. But what's been going on?
You're one of about 20 guys that probably has that grudge against Ohio State. So
exactly. But what's been going on since we last were teammates on the Stark County Terriers?
Well, my journey has been kind of long and winding. Just obviously a lot like yours has been, right? A lot happens during that time period from the time you're, whoa.
Uh-oh, there's that makeshift.
From the time you're 18 to the time, knock my laptop off. Just from the time you're 18 to the time you're 30 is a really transformational time in life. And that's why I love doing what I do now. But, just for me, I went to Xavier University my first year, just wasn't real comfortable at the school. And quite frankly, wanted to be closer to home and wanted to be at a bigger school. So I ended up transferring to Kent State. And then, that's when we had played, when I was in that transfer process. And, had a great time at Kent. I was a dual major in finance and business management, and always thought I would use that at some point. But once I got out of playing minor league ball, I actually worked as a scout.
Okay.
I ended up being an area scout with the Kansas City Royals, and got moved down to Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama. That was my territory,
Okay.
if you will. Obviously, you know the scouting process so well. You know, those area scouts really get a chance to get to know the players, and it was fun to kind of come down here and learn a little about this area and obviously the players that are here. But then I met someone, and you know, once I got married, you know, being on the road over 200 nights a year and stuff wasn't really something that I felt comfortable with, you know, just long term going forward. So just kind of looking at my options and whatnot, I kind of went back to just something that had kind of sparked a passion for me in college, and that was finance and the markets and managing money and, you know, just making good decisions with your money. And, you know, that's why I got into what I do now.
That's what's up. I mean, that's why, you know, I love having you on the show today, just because, you know, I've kind of had a weird path with money and my learning curve took a little long, but hey, it might, you know, that might, if once we get into it, you might tell me that that's the norm and that's how it is. You know, us men, we mature a little bit later than women. So whenever
it's all right.
but now I love, you know, I was actually in life insurance a little bit and, you know, thinking about getting my Series 6 and then stuff like that. So I dabbled a little bit, you know, I'm not on your professional level, but just my interest is there. I read a lot of books and stuff. So I'm curious to get some feedback from you. Now, the thing that I was amazed about when we were playing on the Terriers was, you know, I had never, you know, foreshadowing, I actually roommate in pro ball was deaf. So I just wasn't aware that would be possible. So when I met you, I was like, dang, and you were good too. So I was like, wow, this is crazy. But just explain, I guess, overcoming, you know, being hard of hearing and stuff like that and playing baseball and now in your career now.
Well, thanks, man. I mean, I really appreciate that, honestly. You know, as far as my story, it's definitely a little bit different, just because I'm not totally deaf, which I'm really thankful for. Just basically, long story short, it was a fairly rare condition. I lost about 90% of my hearing, and by the age of 3.5, had a surgery to stop it right where it was, and then from there, I was able to learn how to speak. You know, and get fitted with hearing aids, which I've worn ever since. What's a little different about me, which I didn't have on, you know, when we were playing, is I actually last year, you can see it right here.
Okay.
I got a surgery for a cochlear implant.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my hearing over the years has gone down just a little bit, and it's just enough because I'm at a level where you're right on the border of either being able to wear hearing aids and kind of get by with that or needing the cochlear implant. I kind of dipped into that needing a cochlear implant category just about a year ago. So, I mean, thankfully, once the COVID restrictions lightened up a little bit last summer, I was able to get that done. And it's been a life-changing experience for me. I'm hearing things I'd never heard before. So like birds chirping and stuff like that. So it's been, you know, it definitely has given me a different perspective on life. Yeah, I mean, as far as overcoming it, shoot, when you're 3-4 years old, you don't really know any better, which I'm kind of thankful for, but I'm really thankful for my parents. You know, they're the ones who put the bill on speech therapy and, you know, were willing to push me and make the sacrifice that it took to, you know, teach somebody who's a year or two late in learning how to speak, you know, how to speak. Yeah. And somebody now who doesn't hear naturally either. So it took a long time and it took a lot of years to really get to the point where I could speak and interact on a normal level. And if I didn't have parents that were so dedicated and absolutely, when I say my mom and dad stopped at nothing, they stopped at nothing. To try to give me a normal life. So I'm really thankful for that.
That's what's up. I mean, that hits home for me just because my wife, she has a hearing aid in one of her ears. And really? Yeah. I know you didn't know that. And
okay, I didn't know that. Yeah.
So, you know, it can be frustrating at times, but, you know, I try to you know, just because my dad was like that as well. My dad had like a hose blow up in his ear. So he was hard of hearing in one of his ears. And, you know, with my wife, I got to make sure, even if I'm talking to her good ear, it's not great either. So, but you know, it's something that you have to be aware of. And I try not to get, you know, annoyed, I guess, with having to, cause I know it's difficult, especially because when I married her, it wasn't really a thing, or I didn't know much about it. And then it kind of just progressively got worse. So, you know, it's tough to deal with. And I can't imagine being from her, you know, standpoint and, you know, having kids and just, I know with her being paranoid with our baby monitors and stuff, it having to be in a lot more louder just so we can hear the kids. So, you know, she's had to, you know, with me playing baseball and her being home alone a lot, you know, it was always a paranoia of her, you know, someone not, you know, breaking in and she not hearing, you know, stuff like that. So, and then I met this Superman. I don't know if you ever heard of Tyson Gillies, but he was with the Phillies the same time as we were. And, he was, I believe, fully deaf, but he was really good at reading lips. And he was my roommate. And I just a funny story. I remember I told him not to lock the door because I gave him the key, and he locked the door. And I came home, you know, we don't want to talk about what I was doing that night, but I came home late. I was a designated driver for a lot of my teammates. So I came home late and I literally had, exactly. I had to bang on my door so he could feel the vibrations. And I woke him up through the vibrations, through me banging on the door and him coming to get the door. So, you know, my hat's off to people like yourself and Tyson just for, you know, not using it as an excuse or pitying yourself, just not even thinking of it as a disadvantage, just going through life like, you know, I'm normal, you know, I'm doing what I need to do and I'm not using this excuse and I'm accomplishing great things. So I'm, you know, glad that we were able to connect and get you on the show. But the real reason we got you here is to talk about, you know, athletes and some of the pitfalls and some of the stuff I have to deal with too is not trying to throw my family under the bus, but we'll get into some of this stuff. But, I guess we'll start off with just how'd you get into investing? I know you touched on it a little bit saying, you know, you want to get back into it because that was your double major when you first started college, but that initial push in the secondary push to get back into it, how'd you get back into it?
Well, I got back into it, honestly, through a connection with my wife. She works as a child and adolescent mental health counselor. And, you know, her boss at the time, her husband, he works in finance. And long story short, that ended up being my connection there. The big thing that really stood out to me is you know, I've always wanted to help people. I'm the oldest of four kids, and I've always felt like that's had as big an impact as anything on me because, you know, you always feel like you want to help, you want to provide guidance, just like my parents did for me, and like I tried to do with my siblings. And, you know, money is one of the most stressful topics out there for anybody, whether you're a pro athlete, whether you're a 9-to-5er, you know, it really doesn't matter because it takes so long to truly learn all the ins and outs of money, you know, from the life insurance component, right? Yeah. Like that is just one component. Yeah. There are so many things that go into making good decisions and so many different, you know, just whether it's market factors, whether it's having a pandemic come up, things like that. And it's an always changing environment. So long story short, it's confusing and it's something that generates a lot of stress for people, whether it's not having enough money or whether it's not knowing what to do with their money. It ends up being one of the most stressful things in almost anybody's life. So being able to try to provide some guidance, I think was what just motivated me to get back into, you know, that finance industry and just the mindset of the investing world, if you will.
Yeah. And I know obviously you've had professional baseball experience, so you probably have seen some guys. I mean, you already touched on how you didn't need people knocking down your door about, you know, helping you with your money, but you might have seen other guys, you know, kind of struggle, and, you know, that kind of sparked it as well. And then there's, you know, the financial industry, you know, is a little weird. You got some people that take advantage of athletes, And I don't want to give athletes an excuse or myself an excuse, but sometimes there is that worry there. And luckily for me, I had an agent and financial advisor that were, just goodwill people, good character and spiritual people. So they kind of sought after me before I even, had money. So that was good for me, but not everybody's situation's like that. But I guess from what you've thought about and circled back into finance, what are the biggest pitfalls for these athletes that they're facing? Well, especially the new ones that get these big draft signing bonuses.
Well, and that's certainly one of the things I really remember about the Terriers with you is you were always one of the funniest guys.
Thank you.
in the locker room, right? And you're always one of the smarter guys too, and obviously, smart people can make some bad decisions, but it certainly helps to really be thoughtful and really be connected and be willing to reach out and seek advice. But it's seeking the right advice. And I think that's one of the biggest things that is a pitfall for athletes. It's really a few things. Like when you get drafted, especially the high school draftees, those are the ones that through the scouting process and through my experience as a player, I don't know if you were the same way, but you would notice teammates who made really bad financial decisions, and not all of them were high school guys, right?
Yeah,
but a lot, a higher percentage seemed to be.
Yeah.
And you can see why. You're 18 years old. You have this lump sum of money that's been given to you. And we've seen what full-grown men and women do with it. The stats show that 70% of lottery winners or people who fall into a really large lump sum, like, have a parent that dies and leaves them a lot of money, right? Okay. 70% of those people within 3 to 5 years are broke. They've blown through the whole thing.
Wow.
And that's people who are 40. That's people who are 50. That's people who have life experiences, families and stuff to worry about. Not 18-year-olds who have just themselves and a lot of free time. So you're asking, and thankfully there are some agents out there. There are some financial advisors out there that might maybe have known the player and their family throughout the years and, have been able to, kind of come alongside them a little bit and give them some guidance. That tends to help, but an awful lot of those guys, I mean, you feel like you're bulletproof.
Yeah.
You just got paid $1 million. You're going to tell me something? I'm 18. I'm richer than everybody I know.
Yeah.
So, I think that's just so putting yourself in their shoes is kind of the first step there. And then I think the biggest pitfalls I see, are two things. First of all is there are a lot of people when it comes to money, the biggest pitfalls is there are a lot of people who look to take advantage of pro athletes, especially young pro athletes like that. You go to the University of Alabama and play football. Yeah. And Nick Saban's going to bring in some financial advisors. I know about a program that they do at Clemson with football where they have a financial advisor go in and speak and kind of give some life lessons there and train you for that. A lot of times with these 18-year-old kids, again, they haven't had that the chance to get in front of experts like that and have people kind of show them the way a little bit. So you have that, and then you also so you're getting bad advice, right? You have a lot of people coming after these kids, and the stats show too, 80% of pro athletes, just pro athletes in general, I'm not talking minor league baseball players, but pro athletes in general, 80% do at some point have somebody try to take advantage of them at some point in time. And there's been a study done, and it was kind of a big deal when it came out, like how much these pro athletes are subject to these opportunists, if you will, who are looking, especially venture capital.
Yeah,
that's a big one. But also family members, and that's where most of it comes from. It's not the outside opportunists, but it's family members. It's that uncle that wanted to start a business and wants you to loan him $75,000, and he knows you just signed for $500. So like you make enough of those decisions, or you buy mom and dad a car and a house. That's great. That's wonderful. But unfortunately, once that car gets pulled off the lot, you don't realize because you're 18, like how quickly that thing depreciates.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing, is being taken advantage of. But the second thing is, is the mentality. And what I mean by that is guys sign, and I can't tell you, I don't know about you, but I can't tell you how many guys I would talk with when I was playing. And after signing, they had the mentality that, okay, so I signed for $1 million, say. This will be enough to get me by this much money till I make the big leagues. And then have you seen what they make in the big leagues? And then I'll be making that money.
Yeah.
So they treat this as like their bank account for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
But they don't really understand that they may not make it. Or when they get there, there's the whole arbitration process, and you're making the league minimum. You're not making $10 million right away. So, I think those are the two biggest pitfalls.
Yeah, and I would say I did fall guilty to the second one you're talking about, where I got my signing bonus, which was around $500,000, and that was my first paycheck I've ever earned in my life. And for me, I didn't know that how much taxes was going to be taken out till I got the check, and I was like, "What the?" I was like, "Oh my God, they took all my money." But other than taxes, I just assumed in my head, "Hey, I'm going to be a millionaire." I didn't know anything about arbitration. I didn't know how minor league baseball was going to go. Let alone I had just played I didn't even play 2 full years of college baseball, so I wasn't very aware compared to basketball and football, where most of the time if you get drafted, you get your money right away.
Right.
And baseball, people don't understand. You have to play 3 full seasons unless you're like Mike Trout or someone like that. You have to play 3 full seasons before you get a contract of long term. Other than the first 3 seasons, you're just playing on the league minimum, which is still a lot of money.
Sure.
But it's not guaranteed. If you get hurt, you never know what could happen. So I was definitely guilty of going, well, all right, I got this $500,000 in a couple of years. I'm probably be in the big leagues, making millions. So, I was buying everybody cars and stuff like that. I was doing it in a humble manner. I wasn't, my car was a used car. My family's cars were used cars, but who knows? I probably would have bought everybody Range Rovers if I signed for a couple mil, but it just wasn't responsible. And you just got to think about the future. And when you're 18 or 21, it's hard to do that. You're very optimistic, and you're thinking about different types of futures. So, thinking, I think it's fine. I mean, from what I've learned from finances, you kind of want to live. I know it's hard to do, but when you're younger, you can live humbly, because once you get older, 50, 60, retire, that's when you really, you can live life. But I know a lot of people don't like to live by that. But, for me, the coolest thing I thought about with the Indians is they gave us these books on how to say no to, family members or vultures, so to speak, who it was kind of cool, instead of, because I didn't realize you had to pay for tickets when you get up there. So instead of saying, hey, I'll get you a ticket to the game, it's like, hey, if you, get your own ticket, I'll come take a picture, autograph a baseball, something like that. And the Indians were very privy to this issue that athletes fall a pitfall to. So it was very good for them to, take that leap and kind of help the players out, because that was one step of them showing that they care for their players, which that's what I felt. But
absolutely. I've always wondered if, just having been in the minor league system, obviously kind of growing up around the organization and in a lot of ways with my dad and his job, I've always wondered if over the last 10 years, they've had incredible success drafting and developing players, obviously, especially pitching, but players in general. I've always wondered if their off-the-field preparation had anything to do with that. I mean, it seems like look, there's from scouting, there's 3 ways that guys fail is what I've noticed. One, they just don't play well enough, whether it's the pressure or whatever, or maybe they just weren't as good as we thought they were.
Yeah.
But they just don't play well enough. 2 is injury. You can't do much about that, but guys get hurt. Yeah. And you don't know, once a guy rips up his knee, you don't know if he's going to come back and steal 50 bags anymore. If he was that kind of guy, or a guy blows out his arm, there's no guarantee once the guy gets hurt, right?
Yeah.
And then the third thing is the off the field distractions, how you manage your personal life, whether it's, just your personal, family, friends, your inner circle, who you're dating, all that stuff. Whether it's substance abuse, obviously that's out there, or whether it's money, and money can become a big distraction. So it seems like the Indians really prep guys for that third one really well.
Yeah,
because we all focus on the first two, in the baseball industry, but that third one kind of gets brushed to the wayside, and the Indians seem really well equipped with that. So it's interesting to hear you say that they have programs like that.
Yeah, they've invested in it, but the thing is also when you think about the young people, going off to college and, they might not apply themselves because they're partying. Imagine that college student not having to go into class and just being thrown $1 million like that. off the field issues could definitely multiply. But it's definitely something that I think people need to be aware of. And, it's also it's a weird subject, especially when you're signing the contract and your whole family's like leaning over, looking at the number that you're you're signing. And I was just, my sister thought I was getting my signing bonus every year. So yeah, she thought that was going to be my salary. So she was like, oh my gosh, I want a pink Range Rover. But I'm just like, that's not going to happen. Yeah. So, but, the other thing I wanted to ask you is because, I'm curious, is like, what is like are a few differences you see besides some that we touched already between the people who get their money really fast and the people who become millionaires, say following Dave Ramsey's plan, or just were real conservative and kind of just became millionaires when they retired? What's the difference you see there?
I mean, there's so many. I think I know it sounds obvious, and it might sound like a cop out, but it really is psychological in so many ways. I mean, it's the ability, especially in our society today, in our generation, like we are not good at, not falling into that trap of instant gratification, being willing to kind of hold back that satisfaction and just wait a little longer. That willingness and that patience really has to be taught in a lot of ways. But the other thing is too, it's kind of like, here's what I compare it to, is people who are really healthy, people who maintain good physical condition over time. Not necessarily people that never eat ice cream, or people that never have any fun. Go out and have a beer on the weekend. Like, there are plenty of healthy people who do that too. But in general, their habits add up to a healthy lifestyle. You don't have to be perfect, but you want to be generally healthy. It's the same thing with your finances, generally healthy people in terms of their personal finances generally make more good decisions than bad. And when they make bad decisions, they aren't terrible decisions. They aren't decisions that, put them in a massive amount of debt. And I think that's probably, kind of going off of that, if there's one big thing to avoid, it's the things that put you in debt.
Yeah. Well, for me, I was lucky, I got money that got me out of college debt. Because believe it or not, I wasn't smart enough to accept my full rides. I decided to go to college right to pay.
You played football a little bit, right?
Yes. So that was my initial focus was football, and I ended up choosing Ball State because they said I could play both, but then they decided against that. But anyways, but it was definitely relieving being able to just pay off that college debt and not have to worry about that. Yeah. But there's still traps out there. With credit cards, it's really easy to just, swipe and go into debt. And in America, everyone just is like, well, everyone's in debt. That's okay. That's just the way. And I was just like, no, it is not.
Not everyone's in debt.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, like in working with minor league players, like they're what's so difficult about that too, you mentioned the credit card. That's one that gets people a lot, especially when you're out on the road as often as they are, right? So I highly encourage people to use like that Mint app or the Every Dollar app. I know it's a Dave Ramsey one like that. They are good ways to connect your credit card and just know if you know how much you're spending, you're much less likely to, overspend than if, that's what gets people with credit cards is they don't realize how much they're spending on it because they don't really track it. And you don't get that notification from the bank saying you're out of money. So,
exactly.
They'll let you keep swiping. So, that's been one of the biggest things I think with, the new technology we have out there, using the Mint app, using the Every Dollar app, things like that to help you keep track so that you know what your credit card statements look like at any time.
Yeah. And I'd rather err on the side of, maybe looking at it too much than not looking at it at all. But before we get out of here, because we've gotten a lot of good information from you and I appreciate that, I just want to ask, how was it, because I don't know how long your dad's been the voice of the Indians, but how was that growing up around baseball? Did you have as much access as, we would think, or like did you get to hang around the players, or how was that?
Well, I wasn't like best friends with Sandy Alomar growing up or anything like that. I certainly wish I could say that. But my dad was awesome with sharing his job with me. Obviously, who's the player? You're going to have to help me with this one. Who's the player that had the kid in the clubhouse every day with him for the White Sox like 5 years ago?
Wait, for the White Sox. Oh, and then didn't actually he get in trouble about that or something like that?
Yes.
It wasn't Adam LaRoche, was it?
Adam LaRoche, thank you. Yeah. Adam LaRoche. Yeah. He had it. So I certainly wasn't Adam LaRoche's kid. Like hanging around the clubhouse all day long. Had all the batting gloves and stuff. But you know what gave me an insight into it? He always, I love talking baseball, and he was more than willing to talk with me. And he would take me down once a year. It was really cool. He would take me down once a year, and I would kind of follow his work day. So he would go interview the manager and, watch batting practice, which is my favorite part. Yeah. And I get to like shake guys' hands and meet them. And, those guys were my heroes. Yeah. All of us growing up in the Cleveland area, right? Like the Kenny Loftons and the Jim Thomes of the world, and just having a chance to shake their hand and, just interact with them for one day a year was really cool. So yeah, that was certainly, just have a lot of memories and some stories too. But, I certainly wasn't in there every single day or anything like that. Gotcha.
Well, is there anything else you would like to share that you feel like we didn't cover that you want to talk about?
You know what? No. I mean, I think one of the biggest things, players is watch who you're just, first of all, don't hesitate to reach out and get help, right? But also make sure you're getting qualified help. Make sure you can look up online, it's called FINRA, or you can also look at the SEC's website, not the football conference, but you can look at their websites and you can see if this financial advisor that reached out to you or somebody who's recommended you to them, see if they're registered, if they have qualifications. I think that's important because now you're seeing a lot of coaches and coaching, and some are okay, but there's something to be said for having the training and, working with this for a living. It
as
makes
opposed to the YouTubers.
Hey, if you're about to go under the knife, right, for Tommy John surgery, would you rather have Dr. Andrews doing it, or would you rather have a guy that reads a lot about it? So when you're making those kind of big career decisions or you're making life decisions, make sure you're getting somebody who's qualified to help you. That's just one of the things you're starting to see a little bit more now. where everybody has a voice online and on social media. It's great. And then there's the pitfall. And that pitfall can be really difficult to avoid if you don't know what you're looking for. So, don't hesitate to reach out for help, but make sure that help's qualified.
Awesome. Well, Nick, man, I'm so glad to having you on here. I plan on doing this podcast for forever. So, we may have you on here later, a few years down the line, you never know. So, you're always welcome back if you have something else to share with us. Yeah. And, I appreciate everybody who's watching right now. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you listened. And, we'll be back here next Tuesday. Once again, I want to say thank you to our sponsors, Your Pizza. Go get you some Your Pizza in New Philly, and Peterman Plumbing. If you need some renovations other than, getting that toilet fixed because you forgot to do a courtesy flush in between turds. No, I'm Call Peterman Plumbing. But I appreciate everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe. We are far away from that 1,000 subscribers, so we need to get there, y'all. Like, come on now. We've been at 250 for a year. But no, again, I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Appreciate you guys for watching. Peace. It feels like Casablanca. Shouting you my little mama. I got a crib out of water. Say me Casa Sucasa. It feels like Casablanca. Shouting you my little mama. She be on that Henny. I like that Corona.